Good evening. Welcome to the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Once again, I'd like to thank you for joining us here on the Black Conservative Voice. And also want to give you a reminder, we do have a YouTube channel, and right now we're looking for subscribers. So if you enjoy the programs that you see, we have several other programs on this channel. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and, of course, hit the bell so that you can be notified when our programs do air. Well, we see that the Congress is moving forward with this impeachment activity. I have no doubt, even though at this time that it's probably in session, but they're going to be moving forward. I mean, I'm sure they are. But as I told you before, there's something going on, and something is rotten in Denmark, as they say. But let's get right to it today. An activist by the name of John Earle Sullivan, Antifa activist who posed as Trump supporters, has been arrested. Let's repeat that again. Antifa activist and BLM assistant and head of Insurgents USA was arrested yesterday and indicted in Utah. And this is about the third time he was arrested. Okay, this didn't just happen. He was arrested last year twice. But of course, with Kamala Harris and her seeking for the assistance of people to pay these people's bail, he got away. The far-left activist even broke windows the first time he posed as someone else. When they had the picture, and I don't know if we can show that picture here now, but he had a picture. He was wearing a Trump hat and dressing like the people that were in the rally. John Sullivan was also arrested twice before, like I said, last year's riots, but those, like Kamala Harris and other Democrats, encouraged people to bail them out. The FBI, Department of Homeland Security, say that in 2021, threats and plotting of illegal activity, including destruction of property and violence targeting officers at all levels of the government, law enforcement, journalists, and infrastructure, as well as sporadic violence surrounding lawful protests, rallies, demonstrations, and other gatherings by domestic violent extremists will very likely increase. In other words, we're doing peaceful rallies and peaceful protests, and you have these people from Antifa and BLM coming in and causing disruption and causing violence, destroying businesses. So Democrats, be very careful with your impeachment efforts, because now it has already been proven that they were infiltrated into the peaceful protest of the Trump supporters. The way it is like this, people. You got a criminal. A criminal is a criminal. Their actions are criminal, and no matter what happens, that is what they put forth. So just like I told you the thing about the rattlesnake. You think they're not going to bite you? They will bite you, even if they say they're not going to bite you. A criminal is a criminal, even if he tries to say he isn't. Because what happens is that you put them in a situation, give them an opportunity to do wrong, they're going to do it. And that is what we're seeing right here with these people, Antifa and BLM, and also with the Democrat Party. And I am calling you to back out of this garbage, Senate. You don't need to be approving this, even attempting to hear any evidence on this thing, because they only have one charge, inciting a riot, and he didn't incite a riot. If you look at the history of the Trump protesters or Trump rally people, and I'm getting this from Brandon Tatum. He said he'd been to a lot of the rallies, and they've always been peaceful. So what makes you think all of a sudden when they go to the Capitol in this particular situation, they're going to be violent? They were not violent. It's like I told you before, they were infiltrated by BLM and Antifa. They attribute the unrest to coronavirus restrictions. Of course, they're trying to avoid this again. Coronavirus restrictions, social, political conditions, and perceived government overreach. Government is been overreached. Yes. They also said the storming of the Capitol on January 6th will likely drive a range of domestic violent extremists for months to come. This is why they did what they did there at the House of Representatives. They did that so that they could increase the activity for violence in the country. Don't be mistaken, people. This is what is actually happening. Now, of course, as usual, they want to try to blame this on President Trump as their favorite. He's like their scapegoat, their favorite scapegoat, everything that happens. I remember years ago, I don't know if y'all remember this, and this was our other president, President George W. Bush. I don't think he did some things, and that's good. I'm a Republican, so I know. But everything that happened in that time, if you remember, some of you may remember this, everything that happened in the public and issues that happened, they blamed it on President Bush. So this is the Democrats' way of doing things. Now, they're going to come and tell us there's no irregularities in the election. Says there's no fraud or nothing like that. Yet, for 4 years, they accused our president of being illegitimate. And so what is that telling me? Was there false voting at that time? That's what I'm saying. They're accusing us of the stuff that they're guilty of. So let's move forward. We're going to take a short break right now. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, a Republican from Georgia, is shown wearing a Trump hat, Trump won face mask as she arrives on the floor of the House back on the, I think it was the 2nd or the 1st of January to opening day of the 117th Congress at the U.S. Capitol Sunday, January 23rd. The Congresswoman from Georgia has promised, she's promised to hold Joe Biden accountable on day one. Republican Greene vowed Wednesday to file articles of impeachment against Joe Biden for abuse of power just one day after inauguration, or a couple days after inauguration. She cited his son, Hunter, Biden's business dealings with Ukraine and China and grounds to do so. So what we see is she's coming after them, and this is the way the Democrats would have done had President Trump had the same thing happen. Why isn't he involved? This is his son. This is his flesh and blood. There's already proof. There's already emails and everything else proving that Joe Biden was involved with his son and traveled to Ukraine, to China. And these are facts. You fact checkers that might want to try to say it's not true. Everybody that listens to me knows it's the truth. It's very clear and it's very open to the public that Air Force 2 was sent out and went to China and also went to Ukraine. And President-elect Biden, if you want to call him that, he did a quid pro quo, the very thing that President Trump was accused of in this sham impeachment that they did against him, because they never proved anything in that regard. But Biden's proof is out of his own mouth. He did it in public. He did it before millions of people, telling us that if the Ukraine did not go along with them and stop prosecuting and investigating Burisma, that he was going to hold back $1 billion of your money from the Ukraine, which shouldn't freaking be going there in the first place. Why are we giving all this money to other countries and they're not giving nothing to us? Georgia's 14th congressional district, one of the GOP's biggest strongholds, is where Congresswoman Green resides. She cited dirty money received and a public quid pro quo that was committed by Joe as grounds for impeachment. She has pledged to impeach Biden and voted against the sham impeachment as well. So she was a Republican with some guts, not one of those people that I told you before that were traitors to the Republican Party. She stood by the party. She's a new electorate to the party, and she stood by the party. She said Democrats endorsed BLM and Antifa with Kamala Harris, and you heard just recently I told you that one of the heads of the insurrection USA and one of the heads of BLM and Antifa or supporters was arrested in Utah. And here we have Kamala Harris. This guy was bailed out twice, people. Kamala Harris approving people to bail those people out, even asking people to bail them out. That Antifa and BLM people caused over $2 billion in damage to property, public structures, and also people's private businesses. A lot of those were ignored by the Democrat mayors and governors. So you people, you get out to vote next year, get those suckers out of office, because they will allow your cities to be destroyed once again if you keep them in there. And I know there's a lot of mayoral elections coming up, and some we need to avoid completely, especially with those that are Democrats running. We need to get some Republican governors and senators out there, not senators, but mayor candidates running for office. The Democrats have attempted a coup against President Trump. That's what it is, people. You can say whatever the heck you want. He will go again. They're attempting a coup. They're attempting to take President Trump out of office. The same thing they did before. From the moment he stepped into office, they have been calling him an illegitimate president. In other words, they've been telling lies on our president since the day he stepped in office, accusing him of things that some stuff he couldn't possibly be guilty of. It has been proven very clearly that the Steele dossiers were ordered by Hillary Clinton and individuals from the FBI. This whole thing's being investigated. Yet everybody wants to avoid the fact that there have been voting irregularities in the November elections. Why are we avoiding this, people? What did I tell you? Criminals do the things the same way. They don't change their way they do stuff. They do criminal activity, and that is the way that it's done, and that is the way they continue to do. Okay, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with you in a moment. We have some more news for you. Stick around. Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Now, Biden has now urged his Senate lawmakers to move forward with his agenda. His agenda is to lock you up in your house, make you wear a mask in public, no matter whether you're in open air or not, shut you down for the next 4 months. We've already been down for a year, people, if you've been counting. He wants the Senate to focus on confirming his cabinet, the other bunch of crooks that they're trying to pull in. He's got people in there. This is unbelievable, the people they got coming in on this man's cabinet. A lot of them already been under investigation for different crimes and different things, irregularities against our government and against its people. So they're in office. They're like the cronies from the Obama campaign or whatever. But however, the House has shifted the direction for Senate and pushed it toward another impeachment trial. Let's pray that the Senate is smart enough, even led by knucklehead Chuck Schumer, to stop this impeachment garbage so that they can move forward with their agenda. Hey, whatever that agenda is. But what I'm saying is we need to get this straight. We need to get it all straight. If you start delaying this thing on impeachment, guess what? It might cause President Trump to say, okay, well, since you want to impeach me, we're going to stay in office until you get your impeachment trials and everything through. To the question, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to defend myself since you want to accuse me of doing certain things. It is truly an obsession of the people on the Democrat side started calling for impeachment in the day President Trump was inaugurated. Representative Jim Jordan, Republican from Ohio, stated they attacked him before he even won the first election. And I think Representative Marjorie Greene is correct in her decision because this is the time Biden and their people, and we have a mountain of proof against Joe Biden. Now, President Trump, they had all kinds of stuff they were doing, but they have no proof whatsoever. Biden has created his own proof for his own impeachment. And I urge the Republican Party, now I don't know how it's going to all go, but of course, who knows, but I think we should bring it up. I really do believe as soon as he enters in office, they need to file the articles for impeachment because he's involved with criminal activity involving countries that are not the U.S., China, what's the other country, Ukraine. These are facts, people. So fact-checked and all you other social media sites, don't block me because this is a public knowledge. His son is under investigation for crimes against our country, and I dare to say, and I call it treason. But I'm saying that these things are facts. So trying to avoid it, which the mainstream media and the social media keep trying to cover up the truth. That's what they do. We're going to go back and look real quick here before I move on. We're going to take a break after this. Before I move on to talk a little bit more about this, Michigan Governor Snyder, now this happened several years ago, but Governor Snyder was arraigned recently. He was alleged for his alleged role in the Flint, Michigan water crisis that caused the death of 12 people. 12 people. Criminal activity follows the Democrat Party. Half of Biden's cabinet, like I said earlier, are known for corrupt political involvements alike. They willfully neglected the riots that were going on in our streets back in the summer of 2020. Some calling it, Nancy Pelosi, the summer of love. So your explanation for love is to destroy people's private property, destroy government property, destroy people's businesses, and you call this love, Miss Pelosi? The summer of love. Well, how did the summer of love turn out? Because once you called it that, your people like Jerry Nadler said, who's Antifa? Do they exist? Yes, they exist, Mr. Nadler, and they're going to end up getting your butt put in jail or either kicked out of office. I say that if somebody said this, and I believe it was Jim Jordan that said this, or maybe it wasn't Jim Jordan, I think it was Tom McClintock, I talked about it yesterday, that they need to set it up so that if senators or House members or whatever, since they're going to be thrown around impeachment, let us put them up for their reactions in the House of Representatives. Let's impeach all of them. Let's bring them up on trial for why are you so hateful? These are the American people you're talking about for one thing. You're talking about Trump supporters, and they kept saying Trump supporters. And we've proven now that, it was proven a long time ago, that it was not Trump supporters that breached the Capitol. It was insurrectionists. It was also BLM, Antifa, in the Insurgents USA headed up by John Earle Sullivan. Well, this Michigan governor, as I said, he's up for arraignment. In other news, a Connecticut police chief association is being attacked by social media. They're not being attacked for anything that they're doing that's not right with the public. They're being attacked because their ads are focused on conservative issues. Listen to me, people. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they're banning these people's ads recruiting police officers because they're doing it with a conservative mindset, trying to bring people in. Conservatism deals with peace and doing things peacefully. Yet they are blocking their ads. You guys need to stop it. Social media, you need to stop it. Why are you blocking the police? What did I tell you? They're lying to you, people. They want to defund the police. They haven't said anything about it, but watch and see. You get them in there, this country is going to be a country in anarchy. And somebody's going to have to do something about it. And I venture to say the American people will. So Facebook, this is if you want to get mad at me, Facebook, you're the one that's doing it. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are blocking advertisements. Advertisement asking for new officers. So what does that tell me? They're on the side of the Democrat Party trying to defund the police. Why are you blocking these ads with conservative viewpoints? They're trying to silence the conservative voice, and I got news for you. They're not going to silence it. I'm sorry. You can fight for a while, but we're fighting back. It's already been proven. There are people that are fighting back against you, and they're going to continue to fight. I venture to say that some of the companies need to have their CEOs removed. They need their CEOs removed and have somebody else put in their place, or either the companies need to be declared what they are, and that is monopolies, and they need to be shut down or turned over to somebody else who really knows how to run this type of site. Well, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with you here on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the Voice of Truth. Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the Voice of Truth. Well. Mayor de Blasio, listen to this. Mayor de Blasio is, with all the corrupt and all the foolishness he's been doing, he is attempting to cancel contracts with the Trump organization. He has launched an attack on Thursday against President Trump, which could cost his own city. People in New York, you better get out here and slap this governor up against his head. He's about to take more away from your city and your state. He wants to destroy New York and put it like it was in those movies, a ghost town. You ever seen those movies in the early 80s where New York was portrayed as a city in ruin and a ghost town, empty streets and whatever? Well, it's definitely heading that direction. They did it to Baltimore. The Democrats did it to Baltimore, and now they're trying to do it to New York as well through all these shutdowns and all these shut-ups or whatever they're doing. We're not closed down like that here in Texas. We do everything. We practice what we practice, safe distance, whatever we talk. But they have still got people closed down in New York and in California and other Democrat states around the union. So here we go. Once again, de Blasio is hurting your state. New Yorkers, you need to get his butt out of office. File for an impeachment. File to impeach him. They want to get out the governor of California, and he's still a crook. He's still a criminal. Still causing problems in California. And he probably will be to the end of his term because the Democrats are behind the media. They're behind all these things that we see out here in the mainstream. But de Blasio needs to go. But to be a joke, this is a joke. And I'm calling for a Republican to run for office there in New York once again. I think Mayor Giuliani may go back and run again. That's kind of what I'm hearing. But I believe that, now you got Yang. Yang is running. The guy who was trying to run for president. He's running for office, or the office of mayor in New York. Like, we need him. He's just as bad as de Blasio. Maybe not in the same way, but he's still behind the Democrat agenda. Well, I want to thank you for joining us here on the Black Conservative Voice today. We're in very troubling times. And as they said earlier in the program, the FBI is telling us and the DHS is telling us that they're planning on infiltrating more demonstrations. And that means any kind of demonstration. You might have a pro-life demonstration or demonstration against abortion or something like that. They're going to be infiltrating those types of things and just causing violence like they did in Washington last Wednesday on the 6th at the Capitol by breaching the Capitol. And they're blaming it on Trump. And I venture to say the Democrats are behind it. They knew that this was going to happen. Probably told them, come out in force so we can make it look like all that. It says, they tell you, people have witnessed what happened during that rally near the Capitol. They said that they were moving up, and why were there not gates further? I won't tell you about that in a minute. But they were moving up to march in front of the Capitol, and another group swarmed into their group, ran up, and went forward. I urge you to watch the videos. You will see that there are people standing way back, and you see one group of people right up at the Capitol doors. And those people, you guys, were Antifa and BLM. Tell me they weren't. You'll find out each one of their arrests in this situation, and some they already arrested, you'll find that they are involved with BLM and Antifa. And like I told you again, why, for some reason, the gates were not up? The gates were not up at the Capitol. You're not supposed to get within a mile of the Capitol when some event is going on like that. You could protest, but most of the time they have you set at least a mile away or so that you don't interfere and get involved with what's going on in the Capitol. Why was the gates not up this time? Why did they put it up after the fact? You think on that a little bit. Who's the head of the House of Representatives? Nancy Pelosi, the Democrat Party. Could they have been the one that told them, oh, don't put up the gates. Don't worry about that. The reason why they said it because they knew that Antifa and BLM were on their way in. And they didn't want nobody to block entry to that Capitol. And they killed one officer, another person who was unarmed was killed by an officer. How are you going to shoot somebody? They ain't pointing no gun at you. I don't keep you telling them to stop or not. That was a wrong shooting, and that officer should go to jail. But do you hear anybody complaining about that? Do you hear any protests about that young white lady who was murdered by the police there at the Capitol? Do you hear anybody complain about that? She was not armed. Where are the protests about that? Where are the riots about that lady being killed who didn't even have a weapon? Where are they at? Where are the protesters? Why there's nobody out there protesting for her life? Somebody who served our country honorably and wanted to defend our Constitution, which the Democrats are out to destroy. Well, that's all I'm going to say right now. I want to thank you for joining us here on the Black Conservative Voice. My name is David Colbert, and you're watching us here on the CTM News Network, the Voice of Truth. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe to it. And when you subscribe, hit the bell, and you will receive notification when my program comes on and when other programs come on CTM News, the Voice of Truth. Once again, I want to say what I always like to say to you. God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the world. Until next time, this is David Colbert from the Black Conservative Voice saying good night and God bless.